Yes, yes, yes. Good morning and welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you as ever for tuning in. Smash the like button, share button, the retweet button, whatever platform you're watching on. If you're seeing a clip on Facebook, share it with your friends. Make sure the like button's being hit. Subscribe to the Football Terrace as well. It's amazing. Nearly 4,000 new subscribers over the course of the past 2 weeks. Humbling. Truly humbling for myself as an individual. Keep up to date with everything going on with the Football Terrace, and we've got some massive announcements and a brand new partnership on the way for you soon, which is going to take us to that next level. We're so excited. Make sure you go into the link in the description below to sign up to our mailing list. It's so important. Big competitions, giving away PS5s, football boots, a brand new Rode condenser mic for you budding YouTubers and bloggers, vloggers, streamers, some HD cameras to give away as well. But you need to go and sign up right about now, and nothing's ever going to cost you a penny to enter. We're here to talk about David Carmo, the Braga defender who is linked with a move to Manchester United, left-footed, left-sided centre-back, a position that we know Ollie has been craving for a long time. Reports coming out of Portugal that Man United are close to striking a deal for the player, for him to go to Old Trafford in January. And that would certainly be a statement of intent by Ollie, by Manchester United, that they are sticking to this plan, whatever it may be, and they are going to try and back him forward. He's young, imposing, 21 years of age, made his debut in the Braga team in January of 2020. I think he's already made about 23, 24 appearances for himself. He's established himself as a regular 6'5" commanding centre-back. And statistically, when you look, I compared him today. I was looking at him versus Ruben Diaz in the same league to try and get an idea of how he comes out. And he looks very promising for 21 years of age. Don't know much about him aside from that. I'm not going to lie to you. I've watched some footage today. Looks decent. Of course, there's some rawness in there. That's always going to be the case. Am I sitting around, wow, this is amazing? Am I going to, you know what I mean? I'm not going to hold a Mardi Gras because of it. But interesting player. And you know what? People keep going on about this. This is what's interesting about this signing. Go and just find the Ollie outers on socials and ask them about this signing. And I'll tell you what's interesting about it. They cry about our signings and say they're obvious. Signs the obvious players. AWB, obvious signing. Maguire, obvious signing. Going for Sancho was an obvious signing. Going for David Carmo is definitely not an obvious signing. So thus it should excite you, but it won't. There'll be another reason to be negative. Too young, too tall, stats aren't good. Mainly, he isn't the player that I wanted. He's not the player that I wanted. I just want some consistency from people on these situations. I really do. Give me your views. Give me your opinions. Would he be a good choice for Manchester United? We'll have a look at him statistically in a few moments. Skype lines are open if there are any other issues, matters that you want to speak about. And a big thank you to everybody that liked and shared our Mason Greenwood video yesterday. I think it's done 25,000 views since we released it. And we're really quite proud of that, because that situation had to be shot down. That situation had to be spoken about. That situation had to be addressed, in my opinion, by the Football Terrace. I mean, it's an embarrassment that other channels, big channels out there across the football social media spectrum, have barely mentioned it, and no dedicated content to it. They don't care. They want to get into bed with these media outlets and media companies anyway, and they care more about that than they do their own integrity. They really do. Big news as well. Pay-per-view football's gone. And you know what I love? Aaron, I am calling you out here, mate. I am calling you out. We tweeted you earlier. I got the social media guy to tweet you. See what happens when people start a movement? You see what happens? And I am writing ideas down about how we can boycott Man United financially. And of course, I want the money to go to charity. So I think we're going to do the same thing, food banks. I think maybe what we do is support Marcus Rashford's campaign for feeding children, disadvantaged children. And maybe then, but remember, like I've said, The reason why football fans, like, let's look at Man United fans. The reason the Man United fans got behind not paying for pay-per-view football is because that impacted their back pocket and it felt like a negative thing for them. But they're really happy to wear the Man United merchandise because it's like a badge thing. It's like, yeah, I'm a United fan. Check me out. Do my social media posts. All the Man United fans in the world love me for it. They don't love the club in the same way as with the same kind of passion as they did disliking having to pay to watch football on top of their subscription already. If they had as much passion for Man United as they do for not paying for pay-per-view football, we could make changes at the club. They don't love the club enough, and I'm calling these men out on this one. It's as simple as that. People here saying Carmo is slow. Bro, none of you know who David Carmo is. His name's never been mentioned on social media once. Not once. And John Terry was slow. What's that got to do with anything? I only want fast players. Just want fast players. FIFA generation. Messed up in the head. I wouldn't mind a fast player. But no, don't want him. Why? Not fast. What do you mean he's not fast? Not fast. Don't want him. Don't want him. FIFA stat. No, I checked him on FIFA, and I don't think he's very good. Not good on FIFA. Speaking of weirdos, we've got man like Safe on the show here. Safe, what you saying, mate? Hello, Safe.
Hi, Charlie. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What do you want to say, brother?
Well, brother, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations to you because you have 19 million net worth in your account because I just done research about you.
What?
Seriously, I sent you a link that you have $19 million in your bank account. Seriously.
I have not. Can I just tell you a little thing, bro? If I had $90 million, 90 million pounds, 90 million anything in my bank account, with all due respect to my lovely little studio here, I wouldn't be here. I would have bought and built a purpose-made studio like Sky Sports have. You know, I would. Do you know what I mean? Trust me, bro. I would be live streaming from a villa in Las Vegas right now if I had 90 mil in the bank, bro. So I don't know where you're getting your information from, you freak, but there we go. Okay. What do you want to say about football?
Well, what I want to say about football, I haven't heard of that defender, first of all. And I'll be honest with you, I never ever heard of him. I don't know him. I haven't seen him. Do I trust Oli? Yes. But
hang on, you said sack him the other day. You said you phoned up this show 2 days ago and said sack him. Now you trust him again. What's wrong with you, bro? You changed like the weather. What's the matter with you? Okay. You change your opinions like I changed my pants.
Can I explain? I want Manchester United to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
I want Manchester United to win the European Champions League times just like in the 99, how we won the treble. This is where I want Manchester United to be at.
Yeah.
This is the stage I want Manchester United to be at. Would Ole take us to this level? No, he wouldn't.
Right.
And this is the reason why I want Ole to be sacked, because I want Manchester United to win the league every season.
Every season. You do realize we're never ever going to win the league every season. That's an impossibility.
Why? Well, why is it impossibility if we have a decent manager?
Because no team. Do you know why it's an impossibility, bro? In every single competitive league in Europe, it's never been done in the history of this game that the same team has won the league every year. So drop your expectations a little bit. Say thank you for calling the show. You make my Saturdays freaky, bro. Love it. Thank you very much for coming on. We've got Elite KJ with us now. What you saying, brother?
Yo, fam, if you got 90 mil, I want my peas, bro.
Bruv, if I had 90 mil, trust me, we would be, I told you, man, I would be, maybe not during lockdown, but I'd be flying mans out to Vegas. We'd just be hosting these shows all face-to-face with each other from villas. Mate, trust me, I'd be dead in 6 months if I had 90 million quid because my life would be hella crazy, but I would go out in a blaze of glory. Trust me. I don't have 90 mil. What'd you phone to speak about, bruv?
Yeah, this brother, yeah, what's his name? Carmo, fam. You was talking about the FIFA generation of players, of football fans. Legit, the only way I was like to get information on this guy real quick, man, just searching him up on FIFA, and yeah, man's got. So you say people said he's slow. That's because he's got 34 pace on FIFA. That's why people say he's slow.
Yeah, because
I have no idea if he's slow or not because I've never seen him.
Yeah, well, I've
seen players on FIFA have like 60 pace, but really they're freaking rapid. So like it's like you can't go off FIFA.
Bruv, I mean, look at the way both FIFA and Pez have like disrespected how Mason Greenwood looks. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't quite make sense. And I've been watching him like he's not rapid, but I've watched footage of him today playing in his defensive duels. He isn't like, I don't know. It's not, he's faster than Maguire. Is he rapid like a Tuanzebe? Is he rapid like a Van Dijk? No. But this is the problem, as you say. Imagine that you check man's pace, right? And the first thing you do is you're like, yep, don't want him to be slow. That's the crazy thing. It shouldn't just be, well, I'm going to watch him play as a defender and then I'm going to judge whether I want him. But that is the FIFA. I'm not going to call them the FIFA generation. This is the FIFA. What's the word I'm looking for? It's just gone out of my head. What's that word? Begins with D. Sounds like generation. Degenerates. The FIFA degenerates. This is what they are, right? This is the FIFA degenerates. They purely judge a player on paper. Because on FIFA, we all know, I've played the game. If you fill your team up with like 11 fast players, you've got a much better chance. You could I remember people not wanting on a version 2 or 3 years ago. I remember nobody really wanting Paul Pogba because he isn't that quick on the game. And it's like, oh, he's not fast enough. I'm like, imagine not picking Paul Pogba as a footballer because he's not fast enough. It's just stupidity. But yeah.
But on serious talk away from FIFA. I can't trust this signing. One, I don't think it's real because I don't trust the Portuguese media because them man love to use our name to get new contracts or get moves to bigger clubs. So I feel like this is him his agent trying to get a move to Benfica or Porto or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially because Benfica just lost Ruben Diaz. It would make sense for him to go to Benfica. Plus, if I'm calling Gabriel a charlatan for having a decent half season and getting a big money move, then my man is also a charlatan. I can't trust the fact that he's only been playing football for half a year, first team football, and expect him to come join Manchester United. No, that makes no sense.
Yeah, but my personal view is this: I'm not going to judge his ability because I haven't seen him play. I've used Y-Scout and I've probably watched 10 aerial challenges, about 15 defensive duels, looked at his passing, and he looks like a capable player. My issue is more, I don't think Man United need another young defender. I don't think we need another. The problem with it is there's two trains of thought. I feel like we need someone more established, somebody that's a little bit older. That's somebody that's, even though I'd love Upamecano, there's this part of me that thinks we saw him get destroyed by Marcus Rashford in the Champions League. We've got to find this person. This isn't my job to find them, but this is what my want as a fan is. We need a 25, 26-year-old that's ready to come in and play, isn't going to make the same volume of raw mistakes that these young defenders do, simply because they're longer in the tooth, as it were. That's my concern. However, the other end of the spectrum is if David Carmo, if Upamecano, whoever it may be, Badashila, these guys could be the next Van Dijks, the next Koulibalys. And if you get them when they're young, they're a lot cheaper than dropping 80, 90 million pound on them in another 4 or 5 years' time. It's getting the balance right. But
Terry, do you even think Ollie wants this, brother? I don't think he does, I don't feel like because of the transfer window, I can't trust this board to actually back a manager. So I feel like this is them trying to find a cheap solution to show up the fans and say, well, we got a left-sided centre-back like you all wanted, because we all know Ollie wants Upamecano. We all know that he wants Grealish, he wants Sancho, he wants Haaland. Well, and they haven't. He hasn't even got one of them.
No, exactly.
So
and for me, we've got to do something. Liverpool are going to go into the market this January without a shadow of a doubt and buy centre back, because the knee injury that Joe Gomez has got, there's an outside chance he can return this season, but it's a very serious operation that he's had done, and it's successful. But they have no idea of how he is going to be when he comes back. Any reoccurrences, same player. Van Dijk, at the moment, they've been what's been so interesting about the Van Dijk situation, and why I would be concerned if I'm a Liverpool fan, is this very weird notion that sort of the big Liverpool supporters, the manager, and the media have taken when people have asked questions. It's like, I don't want to talk about personal things. And I'm like, that would be a fair response if Van Dijk was away with a serious illness. It would be very fair to say, we're not going to talk about his personal circumstances. This is a footballing injury that happened on a football pitch. I've never heard when a manager's been asked for an update on a player, him say, basically act offended and say, I'm not talking about someone's personal life. How dare you?
Why? Because Terry, because he's dead.
No, I get that, but I get the joke on that. But my point is that tells me that they don't know the severity yet, because it was multiple things, not just the ligament, and I think they have to wait. Point I'm making here is Liverpool, in my opinion, need to go out in January and buy. I think they're going to look at Upamecano as an option, and this is where Man United need to react. It's okay waiting until next summer to go in and get your guy. It's okay to do that if no one else in the meantime comes in for your guy. But if suddenly out of nowhere, Liverpool come in and go, listen, I know he's got a buyout clause of 50 million in the summer. How about we do a deal for 55 million now? We need him. That's when United have got to look at this thing. And what you don't want to, again, as a football club, imagine it, Upamecano as our number one target, and then we just let Liverpool come in our slipstream and buy him, and we end up with David Carmo, who we don't really want. I'm not saying we don't want him, but this is my concern, that as soon as a bigger team comes in that are structured better, we'll get blown out of the water. And this is sometimes where we need, we maybe we put all our eggs in one basket, or whatnot, and it could all go wrong.
There's a comment from iTest. iTest, you'll come on the show, bro, because that's a very interesting comment. He says, next summer, I would get Alaba on a free, Ndidi for 60 mil. I don't know. I don't know if the release clause actually 60 mil or not, but yeah, get buy Haaland release clause, Ousmane Dembele and Adama as a super sub. That would win us the league.
It wouldn't.
Alaba would be a sick option for centre back because he's experienced, he's very versatile as well. So we could play him in left back if we needed to. We could play in DM if we needed to. But my only thing is with Alaba is that, one, Liverpool will hover around. So if they actually go in for him, will we actually get him? Two, are we really in a good place to be negotiating with Bayern? We can just about deal with Dortmund, the second best team in Germany, let alone the best team in Germany.
Alaba's free though, so you don't need to do any work with them. You just go to the player.
Yeah, but that's in the summer. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about Liverpool want him in January.
Yeah, well, listen, we don't need to be good at negotiating. We just need to go in and pay what people want. It's just that's almost our problem now. We can't negotiate. So if we try and negotiate, you're right, we'll screw it up. Do you know what I mean? It's like just pay the money and we leave. It's like going, like the way we negotiate. You can barter with a market stall owner. You can bargain with a small business owner. You can't go into Tesco's, get to the counter and be like, listen, I know this cheesecake is £5, but can I give you $3.50 for it? The cashier hasn't got the power. And that's how Man United almost get into it. Man United have got to treat buying players like going into Tesco's. They've just got to pay what they're asking for and get out of there quickly. Don't screw things up. I hear you. Look, on iTest's view, look, I'd love all those players at Man United, barring Ousmane Dembele. I'm worried about the injury record. There's a few question marks around Ndidi's injury record. He commented that it'll win us the league. Listen, man, barring David Moyes this summer, we've had a number of summers where we've signed players, Falcao, Di Maria summer, the Bastian Schweinsteiger summer, the Pogba Zlatan summer, as examples where we've gone, what a squad, and it's never quite happened. Until the club is being run properly from top to bottom, inside out, they pick the right coach, they do the due diligence, they give that manager a 4 or 5 year period to make himself successful. I'm not overtly confident. The question I would ask here of people is, if you bring in Alaba, if you bring in Ndidi, if you bring in Haaland, if you bring in Ousmane Dembele, this is the question for iTest. Come on the show. I'm going to ask it to all of you now. Who drops out? What players if everybody's fit and we're playing Man City at Old Trafford, who misses out? What system do you play? Who do you pick? Who sits on that bench, or who do you sell? That's the question. What would you do if those players come in, Cage?
Well, if we got Dembele in, obviously he slots on the right-hand side because we don't have a right winger anyway. But if you want to say someone missed out, it would be technically Mason Greenwood. But I'm okay with that, especially right now. Centre-back wise, it would have to be for Alaba, it would have to be Tuanzebe or Lindelof to go next to Maguire. But you know me, I'm not opposed to Alaba Tuanzebe either. I'll be here for it. But we paid 8 million for Maguire, so that ain't happening. And then who else was there? Ndidi. Oh, Ndidi would replace Matic or McTominay or one of them man there. You know what I'm saying? Or Fred. It's as simple. To be fair, those options aren't hard to fit in personally.
No, I mean, I'm the
They
same.
fulfill roles
Yeah,
that we need.
I'd look at a 4-3-3 with that. Alaba
Yeah.
goes on the left side as centre back. Maguire can move over to the right hand side. That's simplistic. If Dembele's here fit, yeah, Dembele on the right, Rashi on the left. Haaland comes in for Martial through the middle.
Oh yeah, he said Haaland too. Now that I forgot about, I remembered Haaland now. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Dembele don't start for me then.
Why?
I'd rather see Rashford go out to the right and Martial on the left and Haaland through the middle.
But that's too much of a hard on for Martial. Martial's a good player, but he drops out. Do you know why I would drop him out? Purely as a screw you to Martial FC. Not Man United fans that like Martial FC. Because do you know why, bro? Because for 3 years they cried and they boo-hooed that he wasn't a wide player. Centre forward, number 9. Centre forward, number 9. Play him in his proper position. So for me, I'm going to say, cool, I'm being real petty here. I'm going to turn around and say, okay, well, now we've got a better striker in Haaland, and I don't care that Martial's a better dribbler. As an overall football player and striker, Haaland is a better striker. Haaland starts in that role. Martial goes on the bench. He becomes the backup for Haaland. And someone's saying, I don't like Martial. No issue with Martial. Love Anthony Martial. Don't like Martial FC. Not taking it out on the player, but for years, everyone's told me, Terry, but he's not a wide player, he's a forward. So I'm now not going to put shoehorn him into... I've also been told that Martial's not a striker, he's a wide player. So I'm not shoehorning people into the wrong positions. Dembele on the right, Rashi on the left, Haaland through the middle. The only other option we could potentially look at is playing like a situation where you have all four, but in midfield, Ndidi in the holding role, and then either side of him, I would actually go with Fred and Bruno, either side.
Oh no, Van der Beek.
Oh, sorry. Do you know what? I forgot we had him. Yeah, Van der Beek over Fred, 100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you're a Terry fam. Like, come on now. If we had a midfield of Ndidi, Bruno, and Van der Beek, come on.
Oh, it would you'd break the play up, and then you'd have the ability, of course, with the best attacking midfielder in the league in Bruno as well. It'd be amazing. Zaza here with a super chat says, "Hey Terry, I was harsh on you last week. Sorry for the disrespect. We don't have to share an opinion. Sorry, we don't have to share the same opinion. Your channel is the best. Thank you." Listen, Zaza, I don't take it personally, bro. Someone like yourself, you do a lot of super chats. You support the channel massively. So a big shout out and thank you to you. Yeah, I'm really thick-skinned with that sort of stuff, bro. Even when you see me get animated, that's just passion from me. I don't come off the show and think like KJ and me chat a lot. Barring one guy that we've banned from the show because he disrespects. I always say this to the contributors. They know this. We've got a group chat. I don't care my opinion being torn apart. The only thing I don't accept from people is attacking the platform. So if a caller comes on and says the football terrace as a platform's rubbish, they won't come back on again because why would you want to be in a rubbish thing? If they say my opinion's rubbish, I'm a man and I can take it. iTest is now on the line with us here. Good suggestion of players that you want to bring in. Who would miss out? Who would you drop out the first team of Man United to accommodate those players on your wish list?
Yes. So I heard you lot talking about Martial earlier, and this is something I wanted to talk about. I think this is something that needs to be addressed. Is Martial really the striker we need? Because I used to believe in Martial, but now when I think about it, yeah, I don't think Martial is the striker we need. Because if you watch the game and if you look at how he plays, I don't think his play style suits what we need. Because if you have Bruno and Pogba in the midfield, why do you need a striker that's dropping deep, that links up play? I hear all the Martial FC guys say,
hang on,
look what he does.
So what I would say to you is this: we're looking at bringing Mauricio Pochettino in. Part of his system is and Harry Kane did this exceedingly well. Part of Poch's kind of process and his pattern and his system, and you're somebody that's begged and played for, I want a recognizable style of play that I can see. Something that Poch brings in is for his striker to drop deep, and the hole that it creates allows the attacking midfield players to run into that space. When you've got a player like, listen, I like Martial. I think Haaland's better, but I like Martial. But let's say you've got Haaland or Martial. But what you want is these, because they can ball, they can control the ball, they can pass, they can hold the ball up, whatever it may be. You want them to drag centre backs out of positions. Dragging that centre back out of position creates space in behind for someone to run into. So I don't think Martial's wrong in terms of doing that. My view is, and the jury's still out on Anthony Martial, I want a prolific goal scorer. I know he scored over 20 goals last year, but I want a player that's scoring at the rate. And this is me looking at levels here. I want a player scoring at the rate that Van Nistelrooy used to. I want a striker scoring at the rate that we're seeing Haaland do now. I want a Lewandowski. I want my Harry Kane. Aguero when fit. What Suarez was doing. I want us to find a striker that can play football and score at that level. So for me,
that's interesting you say that. But I feel like, for me personally, that's not. This is where like we can differ in opinions. Like, I don't feel like we need that. Like, Martial last season got 23 goals, and one of the criticisms of him last season or before last season was, can him and Rashford get the goals that we need? And they proved that. He was our highest goal scorer last season. He was instrumental in wins against Man City twice, wins against Chelsea. So for me, it's like, he's had a bad start to the season, yes, but this sudden U-turn of, is he the guy we actually need, is, for me, it's just a bit ridiculous.
I hear that. Once I'll go back to you in a second. Eye test. He got 17 goals in the Premier League last year. His best ever return, and that's good. My thing is this: it's not about, is he a good player? It isn't saying he's rubbish. Those words are not leaving my mouth. It's, imagine you could bring somebody in that links the play up as well, creates the same level of opportunities as him, but he's scoring 25 to 30 goals in the Premier League. I think that elevates us further as a football team. That's all I'm kind of saying. I test you were going to say something, bro. Go on.
For me, as a striker, I think someone like a Haaland would suit us better than a Martial, because for me, I criticize Martial's. I don't see Martial running in behind enough. He's not really a threat in the box. And if we have someone like a Bruno, I don't believe he needs to drop as much as he does. I want him to be running in behind, but I don't see him do that. I want to see him rolling defenders. I don't think he does that enough. I want to see him be a threat in the box when crosses are coming in. I don't think he's a threat in a box when
I agree with the running in behind thing. Like, he does need to do that more, and especially being in and around the 6-yard box. But we did see that last season, though. He got, If you look at that goal against Chelsea, it's a header in the box. If you look at the two of the goals against Sheffield United for his hat trick,
yes,
in that area, fam.
I think when you see Cavani, you're gonna see a different level already with the little glimpses that we've seen of Cavani. We've seen him make these smart movements in the box. I think if you see him more on the pitch, you'll see that.
No, I understand what you're saying, I test. My view on, I want to make my position on Martial very, very clear for the dullards that don't get it. I think he's very good. My view is, though, if we could sign someone that's even better, I'm never going to say no to that, because my loyalty to Man United being a better football team is more important than my loyalty to Anthony Martial. So it's one of those things there. Plus, I really want to see, I mean, Cavani might do it this season. We'll see. I want to see Martial's reaction to genuine competition, because, again, the way Jose Mourinho went about it, in terms of, by the way, Yusuf, if you want to call the show, call it now. We'll get you one. We've gone to member chat only. If you want to get your comments read out, sign up and become a member right now of the Football Terrace. Thank you all. Hit that like and share button as well. My one main criticism of Martial, the start to this season has not been great, but listen, I can allow that. Like, it's not deep, I'm not deep in it too much to get where I'm coming from. Like, it's not something I'm going to cry about and I'm panicky about, as an example. He scored 2 goals in Europe this year, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a pen in that header against Besiktas. Yeah,
so he has scored goals. It isn't like he hasn't scored anything. My view, I want Man United to go to another level. Where I will defend Anthony Martial is, it'd be really interesting to see him as an older player at 24 under a Poch or a Nagelsmann system, which we know is going to be more expansive. We know is going to be better quality football, to see what he could deliver in that. So And by the way, that goes for all of our players. That goes for Marcus Rashford. That goes for Bruno Fernandes. That's the one thing about bringing in a Maurizio Pochettino in terms of football style and what this does for individuals that does excite me is I think we'll see these players go to another level. We've added Hussein to the call. Hussein's a Bayern Munich fan. What's your thoughts? If you had to pick a new striker for Bayern Munich, who would you pick, Haaland or Anthony Martial to be your main number 9?
That's a bit of a difficult one, to be honest, because it sounds a bit crazy, right? But I've seen it with Lewandowski. He's always, moving around, moving deep. And the reason for that, however, it's because of how, like with our training, and I've seen it many times, it's just we have a certain style of play. We work on it within our trainings. Our players are always rotating, and there's just a lot of fluid movement. So I feel like Martial can, in a way, fit in that system in terms of his movement, but I think it's like I do agree sometimes with Itesto in this one point. It's sometimes when I see Martial in the box, he doesn't look very threatening, and that's kind of the one concern I have. At least with Haaland, I can assure that he's gonna get a goal or two because he's just that good of a finisher,
Yeah. To be fair, like like when you say threatening, Martial's threat in terms of when you're scared of him the most is when the ball's at his feet and he's running at you, especially in the box area, because you just he will dribble past you and get a pen. Haaland's is in the box. Haaland dribbling at you, you're probably not as afraid because he's not really that agile. He's not really that quick with his feet. So so they've got their threats. So there's two. It depends what you want.
It becomes preference, and then proof's always going to be in the pudding. There's a comment here for one of our brand new members, Curtis. I've just lost it. There it is. It says Martial is techie, but we need a Haaland kind of number 9 to elevate us. And this is the thing with football. Like, I'm not precious about it either way, as long as Man United are performing. The problem we have with our fan base is if we sign Haaland tomorrow, it doesn't matter who our manager is, by the way, because we have a lot of non-Man United fans or fake Man United fans, as I refer to them, that pretend to support the club, but that care more about Martial than Haaland. You would get this instant group that would switch. That you remember that group that hated, that still to this day say that Zlatan made us a worse team, and they don't even congratulate the 27 goals that he scored in his debut season because it slows us down. Martial make us better here. Haaland would be. Every chance Haaland misses would be overanalyzed. Do you get where I'm coming? That's my only fear about signing these players is that we have this divided fan base because we have true United fans who objectively review the players, and then you have these weird freaks who just support. Like I honestly mean this. Their parents should be ashamed that they support players over football clubs. It's an abomination to the game. It's worse than wearing another club's football shirt, in my opinion. And yes, this is Granddad Terry shouting at the clouds again. But for me, if my son come home and says, I don't support a team, I support a player, trust me, the surname's going and adoption papers are being drafted. Yusuf is on the line with us now. Yusuf, what you saying, brother?
Hey, what's up? I just want to bring a point about Martial. Because we always do this every single year. Why are we even looking at replacing a position that we already have? We don't have a right winger. We don't have a CDM. We need a center back. Those are areas that we should be thinking about instead of replacing Martial right now. That's what I think, at least.
I think it's not. Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that it's not as burning an issue. But if there's an opportunity to pick up the Haaland one's an interesting situation. There's different rumors to what the buyout clause is. It started at 50. I've seen it go as high as 70 million recently. Haaland looks like he's going to be a 200 million pound player by the time he's 20, 21, 22. If you've got an opportunity to pick him up now for, say, 60 million, let's just go in the middle figure that we're seeing quoted. Does it not make sense to get that done? Rather, imagine that the logic doesn't work for me to say, listen, I know we need a right-sided winger more and a centre-back more. And for that reason, we're going to pass up on the opportunity of potentially signing a player that could become the best striker in the world. I
personally believe we've already got that player. That's why I'm not
in Mason Greenwood.
Yeah. I'd rather give Greenwood minutes than buy Haaland personally.
Yeah, but he's late for training all the time, guys, and he doesn't care about football anymore. He just cares about bedding women, isn't it? That's sarcasm. For everyone that doesn't understand sarcasm, it's a joke. It's a joke.
I want to address that quick.
Go on, bro. Go on, Itest.
You see how he said Zlatan earlier and how people were speaking about how he missed all these chances.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Zlatan got these chances because of his good movement. You saw Pogba finding him all the time because he had good movement. With Martial, you don't even see him get these chances because his movement isn't that great. I always hear the Martial fans say, oh, he doesn't get enough chances, but he doesn't make the movement as well. He's not giving himself chances. So with Zlatan, yes, he missed, but at least he was getting the chances because he had better movement than Martial at 36. We don't see Pogba do these passes to Martial anymore.
No,
because
he does it to Rashford instead. Rashford's movement is so much better than Martial's. But when you see Pogba, and Martial link up on that left hand side, though,
Martial has so many great things, man. And this is the thing I'm trying to say to people. I don't dislike the player one single bit. Do I think Haaland's a better number 9 than him? Do I think Harry Kane's a better number 9 than him? Overall, people always say, yeah, but the dribbling, I don't care about individual attributes. I'm talking as an overall player, they're both better. So my view, and by the way, it depends who our manager is. That's another part of this equation. For me, when I look, if Poch comes in, I think Poch will want a centralized striker like a Harry Kane or a Haaland more so than a Martial. Now, he might still use Martial. I think Martial for him will be more of a Son type player where he uses him off the striker as opposed to the central figure. That's how I look at Poch. Why? Because he did that at Southampton and he did that at Tottenham as an example. And there are a few people that love a conspiracy theory that think that's why we brought Cavani in, because we were always looking to replace Oli with Poch, and Cavani could be that stopgap for a little while. I mean, that's a conspiracy theory, but there we go. But it does depend. Where I look at maybe you look at RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig play with, again, like Poulsen for me seems more like a target man style striker, and then it was Timo Werner that used to drift left and right. So maybe that's how, if Nangelsmann came in, he'd use Martial. He would almost become like Timo Werner, drift left, drift right. You don't need to be that central hub. We've got Cavani for that, or we'll buy Haaland to do that, whatever it may be. I'm just throwing out names here. So it really depends. And that's what I say to fans. It's like, everybody seems to be either either. It's like, no, let's just ship Martial out, not good enough. It's like, why I don't want to discard him. I don't want him just gone. Like, do you get where I'm coming from? It's like, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
To be fair, I'm not even gonna lie. Part of me, you know me, I love Anthony Martial with absolute passion. But part of me, like Paul Pogba, I would love them to leave for themselves, but also so no one's got an excuse anymore. No one's got that scapegoat of, oh, Martial was did like Martial, but I'm like, okay, Martial's gone, Pogba's gone. Now what? Fam?
Yeah, I feel like that with a lot of players. I look at Martial, Rashford, Pogba, Maguire. Those three more so than anybody. More so than anybody else. That's the one and only real reason I'd like them to leave. At the heart of it is, let's see if we improve as a football club or not. Because the one fear factor is, though, let's just say Poch comes in and sells Martial and Pogba and brings in, I'm just throwing out names as their replacements, brings in Haaland and Ndidi, and we go on and win the league. that people would pull on that. You see, I told you it was those two players, but that's because people are biased, and I think we need to weigh it up for what it is. But no, I agree. There's a comment here that says, Super Chat that says, do you think Haaland even wants to come to United? I don't know. That's not really part of this conversation. Probably, maybe not. But
personally, I think it's City bound. It just makes sense.
It's written in the stars to be Man City, isn't it? Like and that's what City. I think that's what City are missing this season. I looked at them versus Liverpool, and can you imagine a Haaland with all those balls being whipped into that box and fed in? Oh, it's gonna be like taking candy off a baby. And the boy has just got the way, like him and Harry Kane are so similar in how they score goals. It's just, as soon as they shoot, if they're in a decent position, they go to shoot. You're like, it's in. And if it's one-on-ones, it's over. Like, they're just a madness. They really are.
Didn't you? But isn't there a player better than Haaland?
Yeah. Why didn't you? Yeah, what's happened to your boy Isaac? Where's he at now? Has he scored this season? What's he doing?
Isak's doing. He's top of the league in La Liga. So Real Sociedad are top of the league. Put respect on the name. Come on. Look at La Liga team. Where's
how many goals? How many assists has he got?
Don't worry about that. He's top of the league.
Has he even been playing for them during this top of the league thing?
The top of the league. You don't. That's all that matters.
No. Has he been playing for them while they're at top of the league?
Don't worry. They're top of the league. That's what we need.
Now,
I just want to bring a small point about Martial. I feel like there's something that I've absolutely hated seeing online. It's the positioning of Martial and like him shifting towards the left. Now, whenever I see this, you look at the whole team. The whole team is shifting towards the left. Bruno plays towards the left. You even have players like Matt and Dan James. They don't stay as wide. There's a shift in our whole team towards the left. Yet somehow Martial is the only person that gets blamed for that. So I feel like Martial is the type of player that we both underrate and overrate at the same time. And I feel like there's yet more to come from him if the team gets balance in the midfield and in the attack. We need the width. The width is going to save, it's going to save our team. I honestly think so.
Well, it's going to be really interesting in just the nice thing is January's just around the corner. And I think it's the 1st of January, of course, that we get Aman Traore in. And that's, as you say, that's only 6 weeks away and we bring him in. Now, I'm not putting too much pressure on this kid because you have no idea. Like, we all thought Palestri was going to be part of the first team. We got absolutely screwed on that one. Like, they did the announcement like he was going to be. He was in a few squads, and then there was that, we're going to put him in the reserves for a while because he clearly wasn't ready. Aman Traore is obviously playing first team football in Serie A, so it gives you. He's played in the Champions League, so you sort of feel like he's played at the highest level of the game in one of the best leagues in the world. So it's more likely than Palestri to come to England and be able to perform. I hope he does come in and do something because we need that. If we can have someone, as you said, that can give us more balance on the right and that can spread our play, because at the moment, it's easy for teams to concentrate on nullifying our left-hand side because we barely attack down the right. If you suddenly throw someone on the right who's a danger, it frees up some room on the left-hand side because they can't concentrate as much energy over there. And it will probably give, not in every game, in every moment, but if you give Rashford an extra half a second to a second on the ball in 2 or 3 different attacks in a game, he's going to punish you. Same with Martial, same with Bruno or Pogba if they're out on that side. And I think it will help. And then, of course, what's going to be interesting is we're going to have, if Traore can do some bits on the right, and then we've got man like Alex Telles, Mr. Whippy. Do you want to flake with that, whipping in them crosses from that left hand side? Who know? Like, I'm interested to see how it's going to look and how it's going to be. And that's the one thing I think it was Yusuf spoke about earlier. I think it was Yusuf said this. You're right about that. The right hand side for me, if we had Magic one time in January, Montreal is coming in. Maybe he's the guy. It's the area that needs to be fixed because we've been weak there since Ronaldo left. We literally had a couple of years where Nani did some bits. We had a couple of seasons where Valencia did some bits, but outside of maybe 2 or 3 seasons since 2009, we've been weak in that area. And I think if we can strengthen it, give ourselves more balance, it will seriously improve us as a football team, regardless of who the manager is. Literally.
So sorry, Terry.
Go on, mate.
Itis, did you like Antonio Valencia at United?
Antonio Valencia.
Yeah.
I can't remember him, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So, are you an advocate for Adama Traore coming in as well?
See, Adama Traore as a super sub, that would be amazing. If for me, he's one of the best subs in the world. Bring him off the bench, 60th minute, it will cause damage.
Oh, wait, you know what? The reason why I asked you that question because Adama Traore is basically just Valencia on roids. And Valencia was a big guy anyway.
Yeah, he was Traore as well. Yeah. Listen, Traore is a good player, right? But he had a purple patch last season. That's it. Like, what has he done in this campaign? I mean, he's already out of the... what you've got to look at is how often he's actually starting. And when he's hot, he's one of them players for me. When he's hot, he's out of this world. But he's a patch player. He's a purple patch player. He is not that good. He's decent, but he is not that good, in my opinion. He just isn't. Like, everyone knows my thoughts on Zaha. Zaha is better than him, right? Zaha has more footballing ability than him. Output's much better this season by Zaha. By the way, I'm an output guy. This season, I'm congratulating Zaha because the outputs are coming, and it's all about outputs for me, especially when you've got ability. If you've got ability and you haven't got outputs, I got an issue with you. I've got a real issue with you. You're basically a show pony, and I don't need that. I like a horse that's going to do some work, mate. I don't want it like, them show ponies that prance about looking all pretty. You're not a real horse. What's wrong with you, bruv? Like, you got your hair like an Essex boy. What are you doing, man? I'm not about them show ponies. I'm about go out there and win a race or go out there and plow a damn field, whatever your job's to do. Carry that woman up the hill, whatever. Like, go do some work, horse. I don't know why I'm talking about horses, but anyway. That's what I want to see him do. But Traore, for me, is an average elite level football player that, when he's on fire, looks brilliant. But for me,
You say that, but
yeah.
you look at his stats and what he does across in a game is better than Rashford. If you look at dribbles per game, crosses per game, chances created per game, he's all of that is better than Rashford. So if you look it up, so per game he does more than Marcus Rashford.
But I test you and Neeks had this conversation already on Twitter. You're comparing Marcus Rashford, an inside forward, to a winger,
for a pure winger. He's a pure winger. He's the definition of a winger.
Rashford to do more in a game. If you look at his dribbles per game, chances created per game, crosses per game, all of that is
how many. I test. The question is though, how many of those things lead to goals? Because whatever Marcus Rashford is doing, he may be doing less, but he's getting more outputs than Adama Traore. So
Rashford is a moments player. In a game, he doesn't do enough. If you look at the stats,
he scored the win against.
Hang on a minute, I test. Like, one thing I can't take you seriously on when you start talking about this is when I brought up stats as to why Haaland's a better striker than Alexander Isak. You said it isn't about stats. It isn't about stats. Now, when it comes to Traore and Rashford, you're saying it's stats. So before we go into these two players, what? No. Stop talking when I'm speaking, please. I'm gonna lay the smack down on your candy ass here. What is important here? Do we use stats as the barometer, or is it the eye test, in your opinion?
You see with the eye test that Rashford doesn't do enough in games, and a lot of the time he goes missing, but then he scores a goal. So that's why I say his moments. But I'm talking your language. So I'm bringing up the stats for you to show that Rashford doesn't do enough across 90 minutes. Because if you compare him to someone who you said is average, he's not as good as Adama Traore in what he does in per game. Look.
But listen. There's too many people here to discuss this. Let's just narrow this down a little bit. So, in terms of what though? In terms of what are you looking at here? Because dribbles, like Traore attempts about 15 dribbles per game, where Rashford attempts about 5. Because dribbling isn't one of Rashford's main attributes in the same way. But like in terms of shot assists, right? Rashford has created so far this season 18 opportunities on goal, and Traore in that same amount of time has only created. No, this
hasn't been Traore's season. But look at last.
I'm just looking. Let me finish. I test. You need to do me a big favor on this show. When I'm speaking, let me finish before you start talking over me, please. And I know I talk over people, but it's my show, and I'm going to be really arrogant about it. So this season, Rashford's almost created almost 10 chances more. So for all the extra dribbles, for all the better crossing, for all the better passing, for all the better elements of his game, Rashford's almost doubled him for creativity. However, let's just look at it. We'll look at last season. I'm going to do this for you, but what I want you to do is just keep quiet while I get it up, so we don't keep going up. The reason I want to do it is, so last season, Traore created, across all competitions, 60 chances, whereas Marcus Rashford last season created 62. So the point I'm pulling on here is, but scored 28 goals and got 8 assists last season. Traore got 14 assists, but only scored 6 goals. So you can see one of them is more a creator, and one of them is more of a goal scorer. So again, it's like what you're doing is you're taking the main attribute of Traore and comparing it against the second most important element of Rashford's game, which is his creativity. And that for me is where your argument becomes flawed, where it's a false equivalence, because you're looking. It's like comparing a midfielder that's like Frank Lampard, whose primary job was to score goals, okay, versus a creative midfielder whose primary job is to create opportunities, but then comparing both their strengths. So if you're going to compare like KDB and Lampard, it isn't fair just to say Lampard's better because he scored more goals. Well, his role on the pitch was to be one of the main goal scorers, so that makes sense. Same as you can't compare KDB to Frank Lampard and just focus on the creativity, because that wasn't Frank Lampard's skill set. That's what you're doing here. It's clever, but the problem is you're not smarter than me, so it's not going to work, bruv.
So basically what you're saying, right, you're basically admitting Rashford is a moments player. He doesn't.
No. See, again, and you're not going to put words in my mouth either. I didn't say he was a moments player. What you're doing is you're disregarding the fact that, look at this. Last season, Traore got 14 assists, okay? Rashford got 8. So he got sort of not half, just over 50%, like less than what Traore got, okay, which is fine. But Rashford actually created more chances. So
Okay.
Well, let me finish. So if more people would have finished Rashford's created chance, it could have been higher. However, he got 8 assists versus 14. That's double. Rashford got 28 goals versus Traore's 6. So if you look at Traore's main attribute, which is creating, it was under double as good. So 14 to 8. But Rashford's main attribute versus Traore's main attribute is 6 compared to 28. So in terms of Rashford's main approach to a game in terms of being a goal scorer, he outweighs him tremendously. At the same rate, if Rashford's got 8 assists, Traore should be coming in with about 30 assists for the same comparison. That's my point to you. I'm not saying Traore's a bad player, right? Traore is a good creator, but he's a moments man. And what I mean by that is a lot of those assists came in a very short period of time. Outside of that, he had loads of moments, and he's already out of the team at Wolverhampton Wanderers again. But I don't get why you do this to Rashford all the time. You take something somebody's really good at, like Traore is good creator, good dribbler, and you use that as a way to say Rashford's crap because Rashford can't dribble like Traore, doesn't create as much as Traore, which is one factually wrong, but it doesn't make sense to me why you do that, bro.
Yeah, I test. You're also saying Rashford is a moments player. Ain't football about moments? Like if we never had moments players,
but I want Rashford to score per game. If he in a game that he's not scoring. In a game that he's not scoring, right. I don't believe he does enough in a game. He doesn't dribble enough. He doesn't.
But he's not a dribbler. Why should he dribble? Why, if that's not his main? Do you know David Beckham barely dribbled? Does that mean he was a bad football player? This is where you're. Listen, bro. This is where you're wrong. On a preference level, you don't have to like Rashford. You like. I like players that dribble more. That's fine. What you cannot do to any footballer is say, "I'm only going to like him if he starts doing these 3 things." There may not be things that he's very good at doing. There may be things that he's not perfect at. There may be things that he doesn't enjoy doing. There may be things that he's not very, not good at. It's like saying, I'm only going to rate Traore if he starts scoring at the same rate as Rashford. It's stupid. That's not what he's great at. It. Yeah. Appreciate what his skill set is.
In a game, he's not scoring.
Answer me this, Itest. When Adama is not cut the ball from the halfway line and running at people and crossing inshallah to Jimenez, what is he doing?
If you look at per game, he dribbles more than Rashford.
Yeah, but what's it? No. What's it doing for his team? For all them dribbles, this is where you're full of shit. This is where you're looking at it as, the dribble look nice. For all those dribbles, man does 15 dribbles to Rashford's 5 per game, but yet creates less chances than him. So
per game,
mate, are you stupid? If I create 60 chances across 30 games and you create 50 across 60 games, per game is going to be higher for me as well, bro. That's maths. You don't need to see per game. Per game, Traore's is 0.11 over the last 2 seasons, where Rashford's is 0.37. So it's marginal per game, but over the course of you accumulate that, it's around 61 for Rashford, 51 for Traore. So my point to you is, I get what you're saying, that as a football fan, seeing Traore do all those dribbles entertains you. So you look at that as Rashford doing more. But Rashford just gets the ball and passes it to an opponent, keeps our possession, but we end up creating more chances still. If Rashford did all those dribbles, but then got to the byline and crossed it and nobody was in there, which is what's happening here, because what's the point of the dribble other than to entertain you? And that's where people have got to learn the difference between entertainment. It's crazy.
You watch the Everton game
to do nothing in a game he's not scoring.
But what do you mean by doing nothing? What do you mean? What do you mean by doing nothing?
He does in a game that he's not scoring. He's not creating enough chances.
But you're chatting shit. Stop. It doesn't. I don't care what you're saying. We're talking about Traore versus Rashford here. If you want Rashford to create more chances, that's a fair assessment. I want him creating 2 chances per game. Okay. You're saying Traore has more than him in a game because he dribbles a lot, right? Okay. But the end of those dribbles isn't equating, okay? Isn't equating to him creating more chances. So in the comparison between these 2 players, let's not reframe this conversation. You're chatting nonsense because Rashford still creates more than him and outscores him nearly 5 to 1, sorry, in terms of outscoring him. What you're saying about Rashford doesn't do anything when he isn't scoring. What you're saying is you want Rashford to dribble more. That doesn't mean he isn't doing anything. When Rashford gets the ball on the left-hand side, he could go for a dribble down the left, get it into the channel, and maybe no one's in the box to cross it to. He'd get told that's poor decision making. Instead, it's mad. You're chatting absolute baloney.
You say I'm going to use 2 games to show you that he does something. He didn't score against Chelsea, but he didn't score against Arsenal, but he made our best opportunity for Mason Greenwood to take a shot on. Didn't score. He didn't score against Chelsea, but he was our biggest threat. He was our one taking the shots. He's the one slipping people in. He didn't score against Everton, but he got an assist. He made a run that confused Pickford, and therefore he didn't get to the ball that Bruno put in, which went into the back of the net. He went on multiple dribbles. Against Everton, passing 2-3 players. The only problem was the final ball wasn't there.
And let's just
if that's Adama Traore doing the same thing, you're saying he's doing a lot.
And on this player comparison, just to weigh this up, and just weigh this up over a 5-year period. Okay, so over the last 5 years, by the way, Traore is what, 2 years, a year or 2 older than Marcus Rashford, so he's got more experience than him. Over the last 5 years, okay, Traore scored 12 goals. This is including international everything, right? 12 goals, 29 assists in 5 years, and 166 chances created. Rashford in that same time period, 96 goals, 33 assists, and 237 chances created. So Marcus Rashford, 2 years younger, over a 5-year period, which is a real body of work, has created not quite double, but 70, 80 more chances, outscored him 96-12, and out-assisted him, right? So yes, Traore might be doing lots of dribbling in games, right? But your weird view, your weird warped view that I'm talking. Your weird view that Rashford doesn't do anything in games if he isn't scoring and creating because he's not dribbling is crazy. By that definition, any player that doesn't dribble a lot in games is doing nothing in between moments. Rashford creates more, scores more, sets more up. Has better, I'm going to check this now while you're on the line with me, has better pass completion. Okay, pass completion for Traore in that time period is 70%, which means 3 out of 10 passes is going astray. Rashford's in that time period, 80%. So I'll tell you something else that Traore does more than Rashford. He's on by 10% loses possession more than what Marcus Rashford does. Dribbling succession rate over that time, because you like looking at that as an example. I'm going to do this and then I'm going to let you speak. Okay. Dribble succession is 50% over that time period for Marcus Rashford. I'm going to say it's going to be in the high 60s for Traore. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, at 69%, that's great. But in terms of offensive attacking duels won, so this is dribbles, challenging for balls, taking players on in the box, Rashford's is at 73%. Traore's is at 52%. Rashford's a more creative player. He's a better goal-scoring player, but you're simply stating because he doesn't dribble as much as Traore, he doesn't do anything in between these moments. That is weird and stupid.
Okay, Terry, I'm gonna put in a point. I just want to put in a point.
Compared to across the last 5 years, we all know Adama Traore broke through last season. You're scared to look at last season's stats alone on what they did.
Hang on, whoa. Mate, hang on, stop. I did last season's stats. Rashford outscored him. And stop talking. You're lying. You're literally on my show lying. I just did last season's where Rashford got 28 goals versus his 6. Rashford got 8 assists versus his 14. But Rashford created more chances. I just done last season's stats and shut you up. What are you chatting for? What are you running the math up, bro? I literally just shut you down on that. I test. Answer me this question and you're gone. Why are you lying for?
Okay, please bring
up. No, stop. Why are you lying and said I'm too scared for last season's stats when I already slapped you about with them, bruv? What are you chatting about? Why are you lying?
I'm sorry for lying.
There we go. That's all I wanted to hear. Listen, Yusuf wanted to say something. Yusuf, what you saying, bro? What you saying, Yusuf?
Okay. So I'm looking at Adama Traore's stats. He is wasteful. He had 183 dribbles in the Premier League last season, and he only had 13 goal contributions. Why would we want that? 183 dribbles, and he only could create. He could only.
Bro, there's a chat from a member that says makes no sense. So by eye test logic, you'd be happier if Rashford scored less but dribbled more. That's what you're saying. That's why the mind boggles. And if you, by the way, I test, you are proving that you know nothing about football. Nothing. If you feel and if you believe that outside of Rashford scoring goal, he does nothing. So what about holding the ball up? What about his pass completion? What about being part of the shape? What about when he tracks back? What about his run? What about his runs and movement where the ball doesn't even come to him and he's dragging defenders out of the way? These are just little things I'm throwing at you that he does outside of scoring goals. For you to ignore all of them and say, because he doesn't dribble, he doesn't do anything. What about centre-backs that don't dribble? What about midfielders that don't dribble? This is mad.
Chances per game. Who said?
You keep talking about. Sorry to cut you off there, mate. You keep talking about crosses. Man United as a team, we are not set to cross the ball anyway. So we will be crossing less than someone at Wolves because that's how they play. We don't play to the crossing game. So of course our wide players ain't going to be crossing because that's not what we do. That makes no sense.
And our inside forwards, they're not wide men. They don't play to go down the byline and cross. They come on the inside, which means they're not going to be crossing the ball. However, I'm just looking at this statistic. This is an interesting one because of what they do. I'm going to get this up for both of them before you start crying. So, by the way, you keep saying per game. I've given it to you per game, and I've given you totals in the season. And each time Rashford comes out on top, I don't really get. I did last season. Go back when you're off the stream. Go back and listen. I read the stats. If you weren't listening, bro, that's on you. So I want to look at this as an example. So I don't know what they're going to come out as, right? I'm just trying to find the statistic here. In terms of total. So this is, I know Rashford is going to be higher. Absolutely knew it would be. See, Rashford, okay, I'm going to get last season up for you. I'm going to do last season's because overall, Rashford's got much higher through balls than he has crosses. Why is he doing more through balls? Because he's cutting on the inside. And this is where, you're not looking at it from this point of view. Someone that goes on the outside, he's going to complete more dribbles and he's going to cross the ball more as a general rule. Someone that cuts inside is going to complete more through balls. So Marcus Rashford, as an example, completed 72 through balls last season. Okay, from cutting on the inside. Traore only 20. Sorry, I want to make sure I get this right. Only 25. So Rashford's got 3 times as many. Why? Because he cuts on the inside and looks for those balls on the inside or outside into the striker, or he lays the ball through to an attacking midfielder running through because he cuts inside. So are you going to take those through balls into consideration?
Please look up per game.
No. What do you? Why per game? Totals.
Why are you scared? Why are you scared to look up per game?
I don't need to look up per game. So per game, through balls from Marcus Rashford is going to be higher. So it's 1.7 per game versus 0.5 per game for Traore. If Rashford does almost double of something, his per games are going to be higher. I don't get your point. Why do you need to see per game? And do you know why you need to see per game? Because you know he plays less minutes. Why does he play less minutes? Because he can't even get into his own first team. Yet you think he's better than Rashford. You're a mug. You're a fool. You're a fool. Imagine saying, oh yeah, per minutes he's better. Yeah, but why is he only like, and per minutes is an interesting one for sub because Traore comes on a lot against tired men for the last 20 minutes of games, making it easier for him to complete dribbles and get crosses in. It's a more difficult thing to do to start fresh with a player at the same time. That's why some players are amazing as impact subs when they're up against tired legs, as opposed to when they start and they get tired at the same time. That's a fact. We know this already. Batshuayi is a great example. Really good impact player, really good sub at times. Not very good from the start, generally speaking, as an example. I just think it's mad. I can't actually believe we've ended up having this conversation. Like, Rashford does nothing because he doesn't dribble, but you're not prepared to look at through balls as an example. Do you know what I mean? Like, crosses per game. Yeah, he actually strips Rashford. He's attempting, on average, 5 to 6 crosses per game versus Rashford 1, but that's because Rashford cuts on the inside. And Rashford almost doubles in for the
we don't
through
have
balls.
a striker who heads the ball.
I know, it's mad. It's just, I can't actually understand anything you said.
Why would you want Marcus Rashford crossing the ball all the time to Martial, who you've just said is not a danger in the box and is not that threatening? Why would you want him to do that? That makes no sense.
It's a maddest conversation. Listen, I've got some super chats before we go here. Mark Hanley says, head test, chatting, pure nonsense. Zane's twin, hope you're all good, Tez. And Original Base Annie says, nah, Rashford created chances against Leipzig. And he did. And this is what we know for a fact through listening to this. For all the stuff I testers said, right? And this is one of these weird people that just has an agenda against Rashford. One, he's ignoring everything Rashford does apart from scoring because he doesn't dribble. Secondly, against the conversation we had against Traore, he outcreates him and outscores him in every season that he's played, and he's 2 years younger. Rashford's main strength is goal scoring versus creating, and Traore's is creating versus scoring. But Rashford's main strength outstrips Traore's 3-1 in terms of productivity. It's one of the maddest conversations I've ever seen. And for you to sit there and say, that he's better than Marcus Rashford is absolutely bonkers. It is absolutely bonkers, and it demonstrates your hatred.
Doesn't even start for Wolves.
Listen, I'll help you out, Test. I'll help you out because I feel like this might get in your head a bit more. On FIFA, Marcus Rashford is at 85 rated and Adama Traore is 79. Why is that? Why is that? I Test.
Do you know something else?
11 he's in the league, and that's his main strength. I wonder how many Antonio has. It's probably not much more than Antonio.
What?
Rashford's main strength.
What have you said? I missed you. What about Antonio? What did you say?
If you look at outfield goals, from outfield play, yeah, he only scored 11 goals in the league last season, and you said that's his main strength. That's not good enough. And considering that he doesn't do enough per 90 minutes.
Wait, yeah? Listen, I test. I'm sorry, bro. I need to do this to you. I'm past the KJ now. It's the Church of Vibes. Service is in session now. This is confession time. Just admit that you hate Marcus Rashford, and we can be done.
See, you know what, Antonio, right? I just looked at Antonio in the last 5 years. Antonio, by the way, older player. I don't actually know how old he is. He's 30, so he's a full-grown man. From 25 to 30, your peak years. Antonio has scored 45 goals. Rashford, as a young player, the last 5 years, has scored just under 100. Right? So why? Like, he's doubled him. And you're talking. You have to take age into consideration. You're talking about a player from the age of 22 back to when he was 17. Has doubled that of a player that's between 25 and 30. By the time Rashford does 25 to 30, but as long as he stays fit, Rashford between 25 and 30 will score about 130, 140 goals. He is far superior to Antonio. To compare the two, again, demonstrates your complete and utter lack of football knowledge, bro. No, I'm not taking penalties away because penalties are goals, bro. If we took all Rashford's if we took all of Rashford's penalties away, we wouldn't have beaten Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. You need help. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Simon Carr, thanks for your super chat. Everyone take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.